war was the very first war in human history? It's a huge question, right? We often think of epic battles from Rome or Greece, but the real story starts much, much earlier. We have to travel back nearly 5,000 years to the cradle of civilization itself, ancient Mesopotamia. This is the land between two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, in modern-day Iraq. And it's here, amidst bustling cities and groundbreaking inventions, that we find the combatants of our story, the Sumerians and their eastern neighbors, the Elamites. So who were these ancient peoples? The Sumerians were the rock stars of the ancient world. They were innovators, thinkers, and builders. They gave us writing cuneiform, the first ever script the wheel, and massive temple-like structures called ziggurats. They built some of the world's first true cities, like your Uruk and Lagash. They were organized, sophisticated, and were rapidly expanding their influence across the Fertile Crescent. They weren't just farmers. They were creating a complex society with laws, religion, and a ruling class. The Sumerian city-states were like little kingdoms, each with its own king and its own ambitions. And just to their east, in what is now modern-day Iran, lived the Elamites. The Elamites were no pushovers. They had their own powerful civilization, with their own language and culture. They were a formidable force, often seen as a rival power to the Sumerian city-states. Imagine two growing superpowers right next to each other. Both wanted the same things: fertile land for farming, access to vital trade routes, and control over precious resources like timber, stone, and metals. With both sides being so powerful and so close, conflict was almost inevitable. This brings us to the war itself, which historians place around 2700 BCE. Now, it's important to understand, this wasn't just a small-scale skirmish or a tribal raid. This was one of the first organized military campaigns in recorded history. Led by King Enmebaragesi of Kish, a powerful Sumerian city, the Sumerians launched an invasion of Elam. This wasn't a fight for survival. It was a war of conquest. The Sumerians weren't just defending their borders, they were actively seeking to expand them. King Enmebaragesi wanted to control Elam's resources and neutralize them as a threat. He gathered a structured army, with organized units and a clear chain of command. This was a new kind of warfare. The goal was to defeat the Elamite army, seize their territory, and bring back spoils of war. Inscriptions from the time tell us that the Sumerians were successful. They defeated the Elamites and, as the records state, carried away their weapons as spoils. This victory was a huge deal. It cemented Sumer's position as the dominant power in the region and sent a clear message to all their neighbors. So how did the Sumerians pull it off? They had a surprisingly advanced military for their time. They didn't just have a mob of farmers with pointy sticks. The Sumerian army was composed of both infantry and, remarkably, chariots. These weren't the sleek, fast chariots you might imagine from later empires. They were heavy, four-wheeled wagons pulled by donkeys or onagers, and they were likely used as mobile platforms for javelin throwers, or as a heavy force to break enemy lines. The Sumerian infantry was well-equipped too. They wore copper helmets and carried large rectangular shields, forming tight phalanx-like formations to protect themselves. Their primary weapons were long spears and bronze axes. Bronze was a revolutionary material, much harder and more durable than the copper or stone weapons used before. This gave the Sumerians a significant technological edge on the battlefield. One of the most incredible pieces of evidence we have for this type of warfare comes from a monument called the Bastille of the Vultures. It was created a few centuries after the war with Elam, but it gives us an amazing visual depiction of Sumerian military tactics. The stele shows Sumerian soldiers marching in a disciplined phalanx, their shields interlocked and their spears bristling. It shows the king leading his troops in a chariot, and, in a grimmer scene, vultures picking at the bodies of the defeated enemy. It's a powerful and brutal piece of propaganda that celebrates a military victory, proves that organized state-sponsored warfare was a central part of their civilization. This war between Sumer and Elam wasn't just a single event, it was a blueprint. It established a pattern of conflict that would be repeated throughout history, a struggle for resources, territory, and dominance. It showed that organized violence could be an effective tool for achieving political goals. The tactics, the technology, the very idea of a professional army These things had their roots in these ancient Mesopotamian conflicts. The legacy of this first war is, in many ways, the history of warfare itself. It marks the moment when humanity turned its incredible capacity for organization and innovation towards organized destruction. It's a sobering thought, but understanding where it all began helps us understand the long, complex history of human conflict. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history. See you next time.